Agents, I feel your pain. I realize what's going on in the market, and I'm not sure if you've crystallized it into terms, but buyers can't buy and sellers don't want to sell. And so if I was to describe why buyers can't buy, it's simply because the prices of homes have gone up by double. The taxes of those homes have gone up by double. The insurance rates have gone up by triple, and the rates have tripled. On top of that, bacon, eggs, and milk have all gone up 30%. And the only thing that has not gone up are salaries. And that, my friend, is, as you know, what is on the tax return and what a bank is looking at to give a loan to a borrower. But hey, if the sellers will just drop their price $100,000, $200,000, the buyers could buy, right? What's the likelihood of that happening? So why don't sellers want to sell? Well, did you know that 80% of all the fixed mortgages in the United States are under 5%? And that 60% of all the mortgages that are fixed in the United States are under 4%. So we'd be asking a homeowner to leave their cheap mortgage that they bought a house for at what is half the price today. We're asking them to leave that situation and pay double the price, double the payment, double the tax for a house that's half the size and twice as old. It doesn't sound too attractive to me. So if realtors didn't have it bad enough, there are two additional problems that they have to face. One of them is that there's been a NAR lawsuit recently that has determined that listing agents no longer have to share their commission with buyer's agents. And while that is terrible, what's even more terrible is that those listing agents are no longer going to get a 6% commission. Why? Because the sellers found out about that lawsuit and they're saying to themselves, well, if you're not sharing your commission with another realtor, well, I'm not giving you 6%, I'm giving you 3%. Well, I have worse news. Did you know that there are 200,000 realtors in Florida? And that 70,000 of them are between Miami and Palm Beach? All those people competing for the same small list of customers in this market? Well, the sellers know this because they're getting contacted by all of them, and some of them are undercutting your commission. And so the question would be, when you go to these sellers and you go to get a listing agreement, are you going to get a listing agreement at 6%? At 3%? Well, in the market, the co-brokes have been 2.5%, 2%, 1.5%. I mean, you'd be lucky if you get 2%. So at this point, the listing agents are in as bad of a trouble as the buyer agents. So it's not a wonder why agents aren't getting listings. But let's say that you did get a listing. Do you think it would be for a price that it would sell for? Would it be for a commission you'd want to work for? Would it be for a time period that you could actually get it sold? I think you know the answer to those questions. So you're probably thinking, well, if the market's full of buyers that can't buy, how are you finding buyers? And the answer is that our buyers are not the typical buyers. We call them penalty box buyers. Those are buyers that would not qualify typically for a bank loan. Maybe they don't have enough years at a particular job. Maybe they have a blemish on their credit. Maybe they don't make enough money for a bank to approve of them. But maybe they actually make enough money. I mean, think about the landscaper or Donald Trump. Either one of those people, they don't show all their income on their tax returns, and therefore they're really unbankable. And we're after those type of buyers, and we're going to take them out of the rental where the rent is increasing every year, and we're going to put them into a fixed payment situation in one of our properties and make them homeowners. And you can imagine how appreciative some of these people would be to such an opportunity. So at this point, you're probably wondering, well, if there's so many unmotivated sellers, well, how do you find sellers? Well, our sellers are people that need a unique problem solved. They're not typical sellers. They're people that might be getting a divorce, or they might be in foreclosure, or they might be facing huge capital gains because of a property they bought a long time ago that is appreciated ridiculously, and they're on the hook for some significant capital gains. Can an agent stop a foreclosure, pay the arrears, and relocate a family into a rental? I I mean, I guess they could try, but they're not prepared for it. They don't have the experience, paperwork, resources, or knowledge on how to do that. And that's what we do. It's important to understand that the role of a realtor is different than that of a real estate investor. A realtor, their job is to help someone buy, help someone sell, or help someone rent. They're helpers, they assist, they make their money at closing in a commission. Real estate investors are completely different. They are problem solvers. They're looking for a situation that cannot be resolved through a realtor or an attorney, and they're going to work on the situation, restructure using financing agreements and paperwork and mortgages and notes and different instruments to solve a problem. And that problem could be getting someone out of foreclosure. That could be restructuring the ownership of a property that's been disputed in divorce. That could be someone who owned a property that they bought for a couple $100,000 in an appreciating area, and it's now worth a few million, and there's a huge capital gains that they face. And because it's not a commercial property and hasn't been rented, they can't use a 1031 exchange, and they are facing large capital gains. So we're after a unique segment of buyers, and we're after a unique segment of sellers. And that's why we don't have the same problems that everyone else is having in the market. Anyway, the point being is that there are problems that need to be resolved, and an agent is not in a position in any way to resolve that problem. And so we step in, and they become our customers. We acquire their property at some point, and we lease or we sell that property to one of our penalty box buyers. That said, there's a role for realtors in the operation, and that is at some point in time a property does have to be leased, it does have to be sold, a buyer has to be underwritten, a renter has to be approved. Yet there's no trick to working with a real estate investor. Our angle is simple. We're cutting out the whole listing step. And what we're doing is we're working with you to gather the information that you might gather at a listing without actually having to get a listing agreement, which we just discussed would be pretty difficult to get under any kind of terms that you would want to work for. What do I mean by cutting out the first step? I mean that you'll go and speak with the homeowner and gather the information that we need about their situation and the property and its condition. And then we'll take that information, we'll turn around and we'll make an offer, and we'll get it under contract, and then it will be our house, or at least under our control. It is then that we are going to give you that house to get leased or to get sold. So all we're really doing is cutting out the listing side, which is difficult to achieve, and just skipping to the point where the house is in our control and giving you that house to make your 3% commission. Now think about the velocity of that. How many people could an agent visit and just take notes and have them gather information one after the other, and then us make offers on each of those properties one after the other, when there's no friction, there's no listing agreement that needs to be asked for, there's no buyer brokerage agreement, there's no agreeing on a price or agreeing on a commission rate or agreeing on a time period that the home can be listed for. So what's in it for you agents? Well, one thing that's in it for you is 3% of what we bought it for if you lease it for us, and 3% of what you sell it for if we sell the property. So if you're a newer agent and you're entrepreneurial and you want to do more in real estate than just be an agent, and you want to have multiple opportunities of income other than just commission, well then get in contact with us so that we can share with you what you need to know to determine if this is something that you'd like to do with us and whether we could do it with you as well. So the first step in determining whether we can work together is that you have to complete reading 2 books. One by David Sandler called You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar, which is a communications book, and The No BS Guide to Direct Marketing by Dan Kennedy, who is one of the most famous marketing people in the world. And the reason for those books is because we all follow those precepts, we follow those models and those systems with regards to how we communicate with customers and how we respond to them by text, by email, by recording, how I'm expressing things to you. It is our model, and we all need to be aligned to be effective. So who are our ideal agent partners? Well, those agents that are coachable and that are going to take action and do what they need to do to reach 30 conversations per day. Someone with or without a real estate license, at some point in time, they're going to have to get a real estate license. Someone who can be held accountable, who is going to try and not be afraid to fail, and who is someone that wants to learn a lot more about real estate than just being an agent. Once you've read those books, then you'll call me and we'll talk about them and what you've gotten from them. And we'll then schedule a meeting if you're still interested. And at the meeting, I'll show you the system that we have and how we work. And if you're still interested, then you'll start. We'll put you in our system. You'll have access to our training and you'll get started.